All right, man, peace. So, I was just sitting here watching some of these NFL games and checking out some of these meatheads go through their ridiculous woke ritual protests due to Donald Trump triggering them. So I started flipping around and I caught this movie. I remember it from when I was a teenager called 10 Things I Hate About You, starring Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles. Heath Ledger, we all know, was a young man who was sacrificed after the film The Dark Knight was finished filming. This film is basically an adaptation of a Shakespearean play called The Taming of the Shrew. And if you ever watch this film, they make a lot of allusions to Shakespeare. Some of the characters' names are an allusion to Shakespeare, like Julia Stiles' character. Her name is, I believe, Cat Stratford. If you know anything about Shakespeare, he was from a city in England called Stratford upon Avon. Anyway, point being is this. I was watching this movie and I caught a scene that I thought was hilarious because it showed you that her father had a very, very acute understanding of the woman. I just want to set up the scene that I'm referencing. This is the scene before the scene that I'm referencing. And, right now her character's had a bit of a verbal altercation with Heath Ledger's character. She's about to get into her car, and let's see what transpires.
Whoops! My insurance does not cover PMS.
Well, then tell them I had a seizure.
This is about Sarah Lawrence. Are you punishing me because I want you to stay close to home?
Aren't you punishing me because Mom left?
You think you could leave her out of this?
Fine, then stop making my decisions for me.
I'm your father. That's my right.
So
Let her know. Let her know. Once again, brothers, the woman in the ancient world, up through the medieval time period, really up until the early 1900s, it was understood that the woman was the property of her father until it was time for her to be married, and then that property ownership went to the husband. And a lot of times when I say that, I think that when people hear the term property, they think that you can treat a person, a human being, however you want, just because of that convention. No, you cannot. All right? You're supposed to love your wife and treat her with all due honor and benevolence and be ready to die for her if necessary, just like the scriptures tell you, just like Christ died for the church. But the woman must also be obedient and understand her place. Okay? But let me just rewind it a little bit, just a little bit.
So what?
You think you could leave her out of this?
Fine, then stop making my decisions for me.
I'm your father. That's my right.
So what I want doesn't matter.
You're 18. You don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45.
Bing! You see that? My man understands the woman, man. I done told y'all, brothers, the woman does not start to mature until she turns 45. Look at her face. All right? Tell her. Let her know.
For me.
I'm your father. That's my right.
So what I want doesn't matter.
Hell no, it don't matter.
You're 18. You don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. It's good to see somebody who understands the woman. They will not know what they want until they're 45. Why is that, brothers? Because I've told you incessantly, the woman does not start to mature until she's about 45 years old. Why is that? Because she starts to lose her looks.
5, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it.
You see, my man understands the woman, man. Hey, man, look, this is why I tell you brothers a lot of this stuff. Because a lot of cats don't understand this. Back in the day, dudes understood all this shit. Now a lot of guys, I guess, because of the so-called family conventions, the matriarchal system that they've set up, a lot of guys today, they don't really understand the mindset of the woman, the mind of the woman, the fact that she loves confusion. Let me rewind it back one more time.
Use it. This is about Sarah Lawrence. Are you punishing me because I want you to stay close to home?
Aren't you punishing me?
And he's supposed to want his daughter to stay close to home. These women, they like to go and they like to travel to these colleges and freak off and then talk about how they got raped at a party and all this other shit. No, you got plowed with beer and then you got plowed by penises. Okay? And yes, it is partially your fault because you did not conduct yourself in the appropriate manner, mindful of what was out there. And that is why the father has to watch over his daughter. That's the point.
Punishing me because mom left?
You think you could leave her out of this?
And you see, she tried to throw the mother card. Obviously, he's a single father raising his daughters. But this society does not really commemorate single fathers raising their children because this society is more into the worship of the mother goddess, at least in reference to the masses. All right. The masses are really taught to venerate the mother goddess in the family life. Anyway.
Fine, then stop making my decisions for me.
I'm your father, that's my right.
So what I want doesn't matter.
You're 18, you don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it.
Thank you, sir. I really couldn't have put it better myself. That basically just wraps up the mindset and psychology of the female.
Old to use it.
I want to go to an East Coast school. I want you to trust me to make my own choices, and I want you to stop trying to control my life just because you can't control yours.
Now, what she did there, her character's just trying to deflect. You notice she got triggered when he said what he said about her not knowing what she wants until she's 45. Her character jumped up and got very confrontational. Why is that? And she didn't even really address what he said. At no point did she disagree with him. Because deep down and subconsciously, most of these females understand that they really don't know what the hell they want until they're about 45 years old. And they really should be controlled by the male figure in their life. Let me not say controlled, moderated. That's the better term, because controlled sounds a little too harsh. But let me rewind it one more time.
Yours. You punishing me because mom left?
You think you could leave her out of this?
Fine, then stop making my decisions for me.
I'm your father, that's my right.
Let her know. Please, put your foot down, goddammit.
My right.
So what I want doesn't matter.
You're 18, you don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it.
I want to go to an East Coast school. I want you to trust me to make my own choices, and I want you to stop trying to control my life just because you can't control yours.
Look, let me say this really quickly. And a lot of you brothers will encounter this in your daily comings and goings with your interactions with females, especially the ones that you might start to develop relations with. They'll oftentimes try to use the trust word. When a woman starts using that word trust, that's a form of disarming. That's a way to try to disarm the man and to get him to relent on what his role is supposed to be. They'll use that term trust to try to imply that a man has some form of insecurity in not leaving the woman to her own devices. When history shows you, and all history shows you, that the woman, when left to her own devices, will bring confusion into her own life as well as other people's life. This is why many of these women will state that they have been the victims of some form of sexual assault or rape or things like that at some point in their life, normally around the age of this young lady right here. Why is that? Because they had no male figure to watch over them. I really wanted to include this clip in the video because of what this father said. Of course, this film is meant to be a comedy, but many times in comedies, they have tidbits of truth in them if you pay attention. And like I said, this movie is based off of a Shakespearean play called The Taming of the Shrew. I'm going to rewind it one last time.
Yours.
My insurance does not cover PMS.
Well, then tell them I had a seizure.
This is about Sarah Lawrence. Are you punishing me because I want you to stay close to home?
Aren't you punishing me because mom left?
You think you could leave her out of this?
Fine, then stop making my decisions for me.
I'm your father, that's my right.
So what I want doesn't matter.
You're 18, you don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it.
Oh man, I can't get over that line. Hey, brother, look, like I tell you all the time, the woman by nature is whimsical. She's capricious by nature. It's not even so much that the woman doesn't know what she wants, is that what she wants is constantly changing. Okay? Many times you'll be around a woman, and what will she tell you? She says she'll be like, "Oh man, I didn't even like you at first. When I first, when we first met, I did, but now I'm just feeling you so much." Why is that? Because the woman is tempestuous, man. Unsteady. They're always like a raging sea. Always not sure of where they're going, what they want, why they want it. And that's why, once again, the man has to moderate everything, because if you don't have that, you're going to have total confusion in the household and in society, which is why the American society is filled with so much confusion, because they're so concerned with the empowerment of people who are naturally confused. Right? Women are naturally confused. Homosexuals, lesbians, transgenders, these are people who oftentimes have very high depression rates, high prescription medication rates, and high suicide rates. These are facts. Like I said, once he said what he said about her not knowing what she wants until she's 45, watch how she gets triggered.
To use it. You could leave her out of this?
Fine, then stop making my decisions for me.
I'm your father, that's my right.
So what I want doesn't matter.
You're 18, you don't know what you want. And you won't know what you want till you're 45, and even if you get it, you'll be too old to use it.
I want to go to an East Coast school. I want you to trust me to make my own choices, and I want you to stop trying to control my life just because you can't control yours.
See, she's trying to go low and allude to him and the dissolution of his relationship with, I guess, her mother, his former wife. Why is that? Because the daughter oftentimes will take a cue off of the love of chaos that she sees with her mother. They oftentimes will take note of how imbalanced the mother is able to make the life of the father by doing whimsical things, by pulling the plug on things. They take note of it, and they see power in the ability to bring chaos. So now she's trying to strike back at her father for saying what he said, which was the truth, by once again bringing up the mother and his inability to keep her around.
Oh yeah, well, you know what I want?
See, they had to bring that damn beeper in because he was about to light her ass up. But anyway, I really enjoyed this scene. It had me cracking up today when I watched it because he spoke the truth. But anyway, peace.